Cognizant to the needs of our learners, parents, and teachers, the Department of Education provided us with powerful tools for productivity that will allow us to foster critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication and collaboration skills to be compassionate, responsible global citizens. Join us and discover new ideas in our series of professional development training program with the ICTS EdTech Unit and Microsoft Education Philippines. Together, we will equip our learners and empower our fellow educators for a dynamic future. Para sa bata, para sa bayan, at para sa guro. Sulong Edukalidad. Mabuhay! Good day to all! I am your tutor Madge. Welcome to ETUlay, a free online tutorial, an initiative of the Department of Education, Information and Communications Technology Service, Educational Technology Unit, ICTS EdTech. This program is aimed at helping and assisting learners from kindergarten, senior high school, ALS, Alive, and SPED learners. Aside from answering the modules, the ETUlay is offering programs which you will surely look forward to. Together with our parents and teachers, the ETUlay will bridge the gaps where difficulty and ease meet in learning new knowledge and skills. So, let us prepare our modules, pen and paper. Ready your mind to see and hear worthwhile and interesting lessons. Let us now study and learn, together with our volunteer online tutors. Tara na!
Happy ETUlay Monday afternoon, senior high school students who are availing our free online tutorial hatid ng DepEd EdTech Unit. Again, I am Tutor Ann from SDO Las Piñas.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tutor Abe from SDO Parañaque. And again, welcome to the second quarter tutorial in General Chemistry 1, Week 7 na tayo, Tutor Ann. Still, we are here para makatulong kami sa inyo in answering your modules, not only in General Chemistry 1, sa tulad ng lagi namin sinasabi sa inyo, maraming mga subjects kaming ino-offer dito sa ating ETUlay online tutorial para mag-guide namin kayo in answering your modules sa iba't ibang mga subjects. So you can watch this online tutorial in Facebook page ng DepEd EdTech Unit, DepEd tayo, sa YouTube channel ng DepEd Philippines, DepEd EdTech Unit, and DepEd TV. Kindly share the link with the hashtag ETUlay Level Up, hashtag ETUlay ang Bayanihan para mas marami pa tayong makasama sa ating online tutorial for today.
Okay, so good afternoon, Tutor Abe. So for
Yes, good
this afternoon, we will ask again our students, our tutees, how do they try to be consistent to successfully achieve their goals? Pwede pong mag-type in yung mga tutees natin ng kanilang sagot sa tanong na ito. Again, how do you try to be consistent to successfully achieve your goals? Ako, how do I try to be consistent? Tutor Abe, I have a planner, so meron akong sinusulatan ng mga gagawin ko to remind myself ng mga tasks na dapat kong gawin. Kasi kapag hindi ko sinusulat, medyo hindi siya planado, hindi ko mamimit yung mga deadlines, yung mga dates ng mga dapat i-submit, hindi ko yun maisasubmit kasi hindi nga siya nakasulat. So importante na let us not just trust our own yung ano natin, yung memorya natin kasi ay alam mo na medyo nagkakaedad, kailangan sinusulat na ang mga bagay-bagay. Ikaw, Tutor Abe,
Okay.
while waiting for ours.
Sa akin parang generally speaking na naman ako, no? So hindi ko kasi masyadong maano. Nainggit nga ako sa Tutor Ann kasi you have your planner. So talagang nililist down mo yung mga kailangan mo ma-accomplish within the day probably or kung ano man yung mga long-term goal mo. Pero sa akin in general na lang siguro, no? So ako kasi pinipili ko yung goal ko na gusto kong ma-achieve. So nilalagay ko siya sa isip ko. Tapos proper mindset. So, kailangan kasi, di ba, kung gusto mo ma-achieve talaga yung goal mo, hindi lang puro isip ka na ito yung gusto mo ma-achieve, kailangan meron ka ring actions na ginagawa. And for me, naniniwala ko, Tutor Ana, may mga plano na hindi natutupad according to our will, no? So, baka mamaya kasi, yung plano ni God, yung nananaig sa atin. Kaya, siguro we have to trust kung ano yung plano
Yes.
niya
So,
sa
'yan
atin.
kailangan din tayong mag-adjust. So, minsan yung mga sinusulat
Mm.
natin hindi natutupad, so kailangan i-adjust lang din natin. So, ayun nga maging
Oo.
flexible tayo. So, meron mga nag-message dito, Tutor Abey. Again,
Mm.
consistent ang mga unang nagko-comment sa atin, si Allen Mark De Jesus from Camarines Sur. Good afternoon,
Wow.
Allen Mark. And also si Constantine Del Rosario, si Hananaya
Ananya.
Necesito, si Denise La Chica, Joseph Bulaklak, Ken
Chicken
Jaitin,
Haiti. Mhm.
and Sanchea Shatan,
Sanjay
and also Iverson
Iverson.
Kilanon. So
Okay.
thank you for consistently attending. So again, this is for you. This tutorial is done for you para makatulong sa inyong pag-answer sa inyong mga module. So hello, Precious Abulo, Francis Elijah, Aaron Linogan. So yan. So yun ang aming sharing about how to achieve your goal. So and also Tutor Abey,
Okay.
this,
So we are inviting, or so we are just sharing the awareness with regards to the National Zero Waste Month, Chutis, no? This month yan, January 2022. So we are encouraging all of you to do the zero waste management nga sinasabi natin, no? Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Alam ko yung mga chutis natin, no? Alam na nila kung paano mag-recycle ng mga materials. Kindly continue doing that para din sa ating environment.
so ayan, humabol sa ating pagbate. Regine Azarcon, watching 11 Yums from Pasay City East High School. Teacher Sir Jude Piliora. Arian
Wow.
Arcega also, Joshua Jaitin, ayan. May sagot si Constantine Del
Oo nga.
Rosario sa tanong natin. I try to be consistent by making a to-do list for everything I do for school. So, ayan, siguro Constantine, every Monday nakalagay kami sa iyong to-do list.
Oo nga.
And for my daily routines, writing down everything I need to do helps me to be inspired and motivated to accomplish my goals. And I thank you. So, ayan. Kaninong teacher? Sinong teacher niyan? So, ayan. So,
Aral na aral, ah.
oo. Let us proceed with our objectives for this week, quarter 2, week 7. The most essential learning competency we have: describe the structure of proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, and carbohydrates, and relate them to their function. Actually, Tutor Abay, dalawa ang ating most essential learning competency, pero hindi siya kakayanin sa 40 minutes.
40
So
minutes.
mag-focus tayo dito sa objective na ito. Again, describe the structure of protein, nucleic acid, lipids, and carbohydrates, and relate them to their function.
Function.
Okay, for quarter 2, week 7, last week we discussed about polymerization. This week, with Tutor Edion, with our guest tutor from Tala High School, Sir Ed Villamor, diniscuss niya sa atin yung polymerization. This time naman, for this week, polymers in the body. So kaya yun may introduction na ganon para maintindihan natin yung mga biomolecules. So we have carbohydrates, proteins, lipids or fatty acids, and nucleic acid. So, for the recall muna ng polymerization, this is a chemical process that joins together monomers to make polymers. So yung mga monomers, na-discuss na sa atin yun before, ano ba yung monomers and ano ba yung polymer. So yung monomer, it is a small organic compounds that can be covalently bonded to each other, polymerize in repeating pattern. So itong monomer na to, it will be polymerized in a repeating pattern to become a polymer. Polymer of this particular monomer, ethylene. So kapag na-polymerize na siya, magiging polyethylene na siya. Okay? Ano naman ang polymer? A large molecule composed of small monomer units covalently bonded to each other in a repeating pattern. So after it has been polymerized, nag-undergo na siya ng polymerization, dadagdagan lang natin ng prefix na poly, yung monomer, so it will become for example, ethylene, it will become polyethylene. So ayan, this is just a recall of our lesson last week na kailangan din natin this week. Remember that the most important site in polymerization is the carbon-to-carbon double bond. Okay, Sabi natin, ang topic natin ay biomolecules. Bago yan, I would like to ask our cuties muna, what is your favorite food? Okay?
Favorite food.
What is your
Ayan.
favorite
So,
food? So you may type
oh,
in the comment section, ano ang inyong favorite food? And it has something to do with our lesson for today.
okay. Sa Chutis, pakilagay kung ano yung mga favorite food ninyo. Baka mamaya nandiyan na yan sa table ninyo, di ba?
O, ayan, ayan, pizza. Sabi ni
Pizza.
Constantine, pizza.
Okay.
Sabi ni Precious Abulo, chicken and
Chicken and
carbonara.
carbonara.
Sabi ni
Nakakagutom
Allen
ah.
Mark, sisig and adobong manok. Okay, sige, keep on typing. Ni
Mm-mm.
Miguel Calvo Tanyola, wow, banana. Sabi
Wow.
ni Angelica, shrimp.
Shrimp. Tutor Ann, shout
Okay,
out natin yung isa may nakita ko, Davao de Oro.
tingnan natin.
Okay.
Balik.
Oo.
Ayan, watching from
Ayan.
Davao de Oro.
Azucena Sanchez Loney. Hi. So, ano pa? Ano pa yung mga food na sinabi nila?
Okay. Si Christian Hulip, hipon daw.
Hipon.
So, ayan. So, sa pareha sila ni Angelica. So, why am I asking? Sabi ni Iverson, carbonara. Bacon, sabi ni Hans Palileo. O, sige. Bakit ko itinatanong? Uy, sumagot si Tutor Ed. So, hello, Tutor Ed. This
Hi, Tutor
Pares.
Ed.
Okay, Tutor Ed, pasok ka dito. Okay, so si Tutor Ed ay ang guest tutor natin last week. Thank you, Tutor Ed, for attending. And si Diane Joy Cubelo, spaghetti spaghetti and cake. Sabi din ni,
Okay.
ayan, si
Pang
Richmond
birthday
Bumate.
talaga.
Hi, Richmond Sastre. So, ayan, watching si Tutor Ed, nakakatuwa. So,
Oh.
bakit ko tinatanong yung favorite food nyo? Because it has something to do with biomolecules. Biomolecules are a source of large molecules that are needed for life. Kailangan natin yan para tayo ay mabuhay, para ating katawan also to function. So, for our overview, here are the biomolecules. So, we have the carbohydrate, the protein, lipid, and nucleic acid. So makikita nyo na ang carbohydrate, it is composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Si protein, CHON, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Si lipid may tatlong klase. We have phospholipid, triglyceride, and fatty acid. And si nucleic acid is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Okay. Again, I have this question. Sige, hintayin natin yung sagot ng ating mga cuties. Kapag tayo ay nagugutom, when we are hungry and we eat a piece of candy, somehow, what do you notice after eating that piece of candy? So parang Darna, ito hindi, yung candy ba ay parang yung may power. Actually, yes, it has power yung candy, pero hindi siya basta magic lang yung katulad ng kay Darna na bibigyan tayo ng superpower. So again, when we are hungry, when we eat a piece of candy, ano yung napapansin nyo kapag kumain tayo ng candy? Nasa-satisfy ba? Or I mean, yung pag nangihingi na tayo, does that candy gives us energy? Okay, so tingnan natin yung sagot ng ating mga cuties. So, yung candy, ano ang meron sa candy? Na somehow,
Na-energize tayo, no?
oo. Sabi ni Dayan Joy Cubelo, we become energetic. Okay, Dayan, bakit kaya tayo somehow become energetic? Ano kayang meron sa candy? Okay, so ayan, may nagsagot. Nagiging hyper daw, sabi ni
Hyper daw.
Harvey Moralde.
Siguro kapag yung sweets, no, yung idea nila, kapag kumakain ng mga sweets, so nagiging hyper.
Okay. Sabi ni Simon
Hi,
Matthew
Simon.
ay, nag-hi. Yon, sumagot na si Emmanuel Aclao. Sabi niya,
Aclao.
sugar po. Sabi ni Constantine, I get a sudden boost of energy and it also satisfies my cravings.
Is it
Sabi ni
because
Miguel
of
Calvo
glucose?
Tanyola, is it because of glucose? Okay, malalaman natin yan, Miguel Calvo Tanyola. And also Benedict Navera,
Benedict.
we get sugar rush. Wow, sugar rush. Siguro ang dami kasi. So maraming supply ng candy. Okay, so The reason why I ask you those questions kasi yes, totoo meron tayong merong sugar yung mga candies na kinakain natin. So, that is important lalo na kapag nanghihina na tayo. Kapag halimbawa hindi pa tayo nakakakain, halimbawa from morning, siguro lunchtime na hindi pa kumakain, a piece of candy can give you energy. But definitely, hindi yan enough para magawa nyo yung mga task nyo sa buong araw. Kailangan kumain talaga tayo ng normal food, hindi lang candy. Pero somehow, it will make a difference kasi nga may sugar siya. So, let's start our discussion. So, ano ang elements na nakikita nyo sa structure na ito? So, I know naman you are familiar with the elements. Ano yung tatlong elements na nakikita nyo sa structure na ito? So, may nag-message si Mike Vincent Naag Chuaco from Valenzuela. Good afternoon, Mike Vincent, 11 Peters Malinta National High
National High
School.
School.
Okay, anong mga elements ang nakikita nyo sa structure na ito? Tutor Abe, may nag-answer na ba?
Okay, according to Constantine Del Rosario, may carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Same with Dayan.
Okay, so correct naman, may carbon, may hydrogen, may oxygen. Okay, you will see in this structure, these are various structure of monosaccharides. So ano ang similarities? Ano yung pinagkapare-parehas nila? So sabi ni Ken Joshua Jaitin sa question kanina, carbon, hydrogen,
Carbon,
and
hydrogen.
oxygen. And also, yan din ang answer sa tanong sa what similarities do you see in the structure? Lahat sila, they all have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Ano kaya ang kanilang pinagkakaiba? Okay, sa 5 structures na yan, ano ang kanilang pinagkaiba? Tutor
Okay.
Abe, kindly read kung may mga
So,
nag-a-answer
andun
sa
pa rin
comment
sila,
section.
Tutor Ano. According to Harvey, Christian, Hulip, Miguel, Calvo, Ken, Joshua. So, yung pa rin yung sagot nila, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So, nandun pa rin sila sa first question, I think. So, good afternoon,
Okay.
Bernard Darrell Salvador. So,
So ang
so
answer
this,
dito, ano ang difference ng structure na ito? Nagkakaiba-iba lang sila actually sa orientation or sa position ng mga atoms sa compound na ito. So ang similarities nila, pare-pareha silang composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Pero ang differences nila, magkakaiba sila ng orientation, magkakaiba din sila ng yung sa position ng mga atoms. Ayan, so may mga yung orientation. So may nag-answer, tinatry kong basahin kasi sa mga comment section. So nandun pa rin sila sa first question. So again, ang
yes.
pinagkaiba nila dito ay yung sa orientation, sa position ng mga atom sa compound na ito. So meron tayong D-glucose, D-fructose, D-galactose, ribose, and deoxyribose. Okay, for carbohydrates, so sabi natin ang carbohydrates it is composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The word carbohydrate may be broken down to carbon and hydrate. Kaya siguro siya tinawag na carbohydrate. It can be broken down to carbon and hydrate. From the chemical formula of carbohydrate, notice that the ratio of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen is 1:2:1. Okay? Na pwede nating i-write as C subscript N, then H2O subscript N. Kaya carbon hydrate. Okay? So, yun yung it can be broken down to carbon and hydrate. Carbohydrates can be seen as hydrates of carbon. So, ine-emphasize lang dito, yung carbohydrates, hydrates of carbon. This is a traditional but incorrect understanding of carbohydrates. Pero, traditional yung kasi nga, parang pinagsamang carbon, hydrates of carbon siya, kaya tinawag siyang carbohydrate. But, this is just a traditional, pero that is an incorrect understanding of carbohydrates. But it still presents a useful picture of the molecule. So, yung pa rin yun parang ano pa rin, makikita mo pa rin din yung hydrates at saka yung carbon. So, ang monomers, so katulad ng sa diniscuss sa atin ni Tutor Ed last week, ang monomers ng carbohydrate ay monosaccharide. Okay? So, yan. pinapakita dito sa illustration na ito na yung saccharide, monosaccharide, magpo-polymerize at magpo-polymerize siya, mag-create siya ng long chain niya to form that carbohydrate. So carbohydrate is also known as saccharide. Long chain of carbohydrate, I mean yung kanina. Again, carbohydrate is also known as saccharide. This term is derived from the Latin word saccharum, referring to a sugar or a common carbohydrate. Plus, carbohydrate is also, again, students, I want you to remember the terms, lalo na yung mga nakapula, because I will be asking some questions later. Okay? Yung mga naka-red font dito, it has something to do with the questions that I will be asking later. Again, carbohydrates, it's also known as a saccharide. This term is derived from the Latin word saccharum, referring to a sugar, and that is a common carbohydrate. Okay, carbohydrates are classified into two. We have simple and complex. So yung simple sugars, ang mga simple sugars na tinatawag ay yung monosaccharides and disaccharides. Yung complex sugars naman ay polysaccharides. Okay, pag nag-undergo na nga siya ng polymerization. Kaya naunang topic yung polymerization last week kasi related din yan sa topic natin ngayon. So yung carbohydrates ay yung mga monomers ay nag-polymerize para magkaroon ng long chain of these carbohydrates. Again, yung complex sugars are polysaccharides. So ang monomer nito, saccharides, pag nag-undergo ng polymerization, sabi ni Tutor Ed, idadagdag lang natin yung word na poly, then i-attach natin yung monomer, yung name ng monomer. So yung complex sugar na yon ay polysaccharides. Okay? Carbohydrates is the primary energy source of the human body. The different saccharides that humans eat are converted to glucose which can be readily used by the body. So again, yung mga carbohydrates, ito yung pangunahing source ng energy natin para magawa natin yung mga task natin. Pag tayo nanghihina, so ayun, candy, may sugar yon, that's a carbohydrate. Magbibigay ng lakas sa atin yun. But definitely, candy will not be sufficient. Kailangan yung normal na kain like rice or bread. So ayan, the different saccharides that humans eat are converted to glucose. Ayan ang ginagamit ng ating katawan para magkaroon tayo ng energy. Around 4 kilocalories is derived from 1 gram of carbohydrate. So makikita niyo sa mga wrappers ng kinakain natin, may mga nakalagay doon calories. Kasi yon base sa component ng pagkain, yung kinain nyo, yung ino-offer nila sa food na yon, may label yon. So, again, around 4 kilocalories is derived from 1 gram of carbohydrate. So, should there be an excessive consumption of carbohydrates, the excess is converted to glycogen. So, ito ay mga carbohydrate. Meron tayong kanin, tinapay, pasta, so yung biscuit. So, yan ang mga common na kinakain natin and as a source of carbohydrate. And if there is an excess consumption of carbohydrates at hindi natin na-use up yung na-provide, kumain tayo ng food na sa maraming rich in carbohydrate, tapos hindi natin nagamit yun, hindi natin siya na-use up, okay, that excess is converted to glycogen which is stored in the liver and in muscles. Glycogen is a slow releasing carbohydrate. So mamaya may i-share din si Tutor Abay about sa another biomolecule that is also a source of energy. So ito ang ating primary source of energy, yung carbohydrate. Okay. Again, this is a first source of energy. Carbohydrates are the sugars, starches, fibers found in fruits, grains, vegetables, and milk products. Okay, though often maligned in trendy diets, so halimbawa hindi lang tayo kakain ng tinapay, ng rice, puro halimbawa ulam ang kakainin natin. So ito ay madalas iniiwasan because again, kapag marami kang kinain na carbohydrate, dapat marami ka ring gagamiting energy or else sabi dito, 'di ba? it will be converted to glycogen which will be stored in the liver and in the muscle. So dapat yung kinain natin, ayan may nagsabi, si Allen Mark de Jesus sabi niya, kaya pala pag nagfa-fasting, ang ginagamit ng body are those stored in liver as stated in NAS daily. O, di ba? Meron pa tayong research, sabi ni Allen. So, mamaya, Allen, malalaman mo rin yung tungkol sa keto diet kasi mababanggit yan ni Tutor Abay later. So, carbohydrate is one of the basic food groups and are important to a healthy diet. Although may iniiwasan tong carbohydrate kasi nga kailangan ma-use up natin. Bawat intake natin na carbohydrates, kailangan may kaakibat yun na nagpaggamit, ma-use up siya, maggamit yung energy na yun. So, pero lagi natin tandaan, this is part of the basic food groups and are important to a healthy diet. So again, here are the questions that I will be asking and kindly type in the comment section ang inyong sagot. Mabilisan lang. What is the composition of a carbohydrate? Mabilisan lang. Pag may nagsagot na student na kahit isa or dalawa, we will proceed to the next question. Okay, what is the composition of a carbohydrate? Okay.
Shout out muna tayo kay Tutor Zai. Hi, Tutor Zai.
Hello, Tutor Sai.
According to Constantine Del Rosario, saccharide.
Okay, sabi ni Constantine, saccharide. Composition of a carbohydrate. Anong mga elements ang present dito sa carbohydrate? Nandyan na sa comment section actually, Tutor Abay, kakasagot lang nila. So, ang tatlong elements na present sa carbohydrate ay hintayin natin sila. Sige. Okay, so i-present ko lang muna ito. Ayan, nag-answer na si Constantine at si Angelica. Nila ay carbon, hydrogen and oxygen.
CHO.
Thank you, Benedict and Christian, for answering also. Next question. And Aaron Linogan, nag-answer din. And si Miguel Calvo Tanyola, Hans Palileo, and Precious Abulo. Okay, what is the other term used for carbohydrate? Yon, sabi ni Constantine Del Rosario, saccharide. Okay, so nakikinig. Thank you, Constantine. What are the two classifications of carbohydrate? Thank you, Edward Bagay, for answering.
Babanggitin ko pa lang si Edward Bagay. Nandiyan na siya.
Oo. Yan, papahuli si Edward.
Oo.
Okay, nasa saccharide sila. What are the two classifications of carbohydrate? Si Constantine. Nag-jot down yan si Constantine kanina.
Hataw na
okay,
hataw.
What are the two classifications of carbohydrate? Bigyan ng Gcash yan. Chutrabisin ng teacher niyan. Okay, simple or complex. So, ayan ang two classifications of carbohydrate. Sabi din ni Ilona Kyle, Noeli Fajardo, Ken Joshua Jaitin, Precious Abulo, Angelica Christian, and Simon Patdu, Aaron Linogan. Okay. Sanchea nag-answer din. And Diane Cobelo. Okay. Next question. What are the two simple sugars? Okay. What are the two simple sugars? Okay. Hintayin natin ang sagot ng ating mga students. What are the two simple sugars? Okay, may nag-answer na sa ating comment section. Si Edward
Bagay. Monosaccharides at disaccharides po. Same with Mark Gian Abejero. Monosaccharide and disaccharide.
Okay. So, maging active kayo dahil next week mag-a-award na tayo.
Awarding na tayo.
Yes, ng mga students who are participative in our session. So, what are the two simple sugars? We have the monosaccharides and disaccharides. So, salamat. Uy, si Leia Perez nandito na din. And si Francis Elijah. Next question. What is the kind of complex sugar? Ay, nakita ko na, pindot ko. Sorry. So, ayan na. Polysaccharides. What is the kind of complex sugar? Sabi ni Constantine, it's polysaccharide. What is the saccharide readily used by the body? Okay, again, what is the saccharide readily used by the body?
Polysaccharides pa rin sila. So I think they keep on answering pa. So according to Constantine, it's glucose po.
Okay, let us see. Yes, glucose. Next is how many calories is derived from 1 gram of carbohydrate? How many calories is derived from 1 gram of carbohydrate?
Hi, Mac Joven. Iverson, glucose sila. 4 kilocalories according to
Okay,
Constantine.
4
For,
kilocalories, pero ang nailagay ko rito ay calories, pero ang nai-present ko kanina ay 4
oo.
kilocalories. So, tama naman si Constantine. Mali lang yung sa ano ko, calories lang ang nailagay ko dito. Pero syempre, i-convert lang nila yon. So, ayan, 4 kilocalories. Next, what is the saccharide that is stored in the liver and in the muscles? What is the saccharide that is stored in the liver and in the muscles?
Okay. So, nandun pa rin sila. Ayun. Glycogen, according to Allen Mark Jesus, Constantine, Iverson, Miguel Calvo, Aaron, Diane, Hans, Mac Joven, Angelica, glycogen.
Okay. The answer is glycogen. So, ayan, tama sila. Okay, our next biomolecule that we're going to discuss, thank you students for being so participative. Our next biomolecule would be protein. So ito yung mga sources ng ating protein. Ang protein is a macronutrient that is essential to building muscle mass. It is commonly found in animal products, though is also present in other sources such as nuts and legumes. So again, these are the sources of protein. This protein helps us in muscle development, to develop our muscles, and also to provide us, it will strengthen our immune system and enzymes. So again, i-relate lang natin sa lesson natin last week, ang monomer ng protein ay amino acids. Okay? Ang protein, the word protein came from the Greek term proteos, meaning first. One can think of protein as the beginning of life. So lahat tayo, Tutor Abay, ay nagmula sa protein, nagsimula sa protein. From egg albumin being pure protein to sperm and egg cells. So syempre, yung sperm and egg cells, we all start from proteins. Proteins are composed of 4 elements, namely carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Again, yung protein, proteos, meaning first, we all start from proteins. These proteins are composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Okay, protein, sulfur and other metals are sometimes also found in proteins. If carbohydrates are made up of saccharides, kung ang carbohydrates ay made up of saccharides, ang protein naman ay made up of amino acids. An amino acid is a molecule that has an amine and a carboxyl group. Here is the structure of an amino group and a carboxyl group with the R group. So this is an example of protein. Okay, the examples of protein and their structure and functions. So ayan ang itsura ng ating protein. Okay, yan yung keratin chain. It is a structural protein found in hair, skin, and nails. Sheep's wool is made largely of keratin. So ito, na-discuss din to ni Tutor Ed last week, yung sa hair natin. So kaya may keratin treatment. So we also have silk protein is found in silk. Silk has a smooth and soft texture. It is one of the strongest natural fibers that have high resistance to deformation. So it is also a good insulation. So yan ang silk. Next is collagen. It is a major insoluble fibrous protein found in connective tissues such as tendons, ligaments, skin, cartilage, and cornea of the eye. It comprises as much as 30% of protein in animals. So kapag yung collagen, it is found in connective tissues. So ayan, ito yung structure. Ito yung nakita ko sa internet about collagen. Next is myoglobin. This myoglobin and hemoglobin are very important. So dito, it is a polypeptide that stores oxygen in muscles. It is a globular protein comprised of 153 amino acids in a single polypeptide chain. So ayan yung polymerization. This is where the oxygen is stored. So sa myoglobin, doon na i-store ang oxygen. While in hemoglobin, ito naman yung carries oxygen from the lungs to the bloodstream. It is composed of 4 subunits, each containing a heme group that enables it to transport 4 oxygen molecules at a time. So again, this hemoglobin is the one that carries oxygen from the lungs to the bloodstream. Okay. Uh, we're done with the 2 biomolecules. We have the carbohydrates and protein, and Tutor Abe will share with us about the other 2 biomolecules.
Okay, so we have here, siguro ano lang to, no? Mabilisan lang din, Tutor Ann. What do you think are the sources of cooking oil? So lahat naman tayo may mga cooking oil sa bahay. Pero did you ask yourself, paano or saan ba galing yung mga cooking oil? So Chutis, kung meron kayong idea, you can type in your answers there. Sa palagay ninyo, saan galing yung mga mantika na ginagamit natin sa bahay? According to Christian Hulit Fats po. So meron
Si
pa bang ibang...
Constantine yata yung nag-message
sorry.
nun.
Si Constantine. Oo nga. Hi, Constantine. Sorry for that. Okay. So,
Ayan.
continue ko na, Tutor Ann, no? Kasi it's already,
Yes. Nag-answer si Edward Bagay. Sabi niya, coconut po. Sabi ni Angelica, lipids po. O, di ba? May lipids na agad siya. So, yung source ng cooking oil ay
Cooking
sabi
oil.
ni Edward Bagay, coconut daw.
Actually, yung cooking oil can be from plant sources such as olive oil, palm oil, soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, peanut oil, so on and so forth. Ang dami niya. Meron din naman sa animal-based oil na tinatawag natin na such as butter and lard. Okay? So yung mga idea lang yun, no, para alam niyo okay, so doon pala galing yung mantika natin. So cooking oil are mostly plant oil. So tulad ng mga binanggit natin kanina, yun yung mga plant oils na tinatawag natin. Okay, so we will be having another biomolecule which is what we call lipids. Alam ko naririnig na nila ng mga students natin yung lipids na yan, na-discuss na rin sa kanila before. Pero ngayon, mas tignan natin, no, paano ba, ano bang meron sa lipids na yan? So sabi rito, lipids is a chemically defined as a substance that is insoluble in water and soluble in alcohol, ether, and chloroform. Lipids are important component of living cells. So kung mapapansin niyo, kahit sa simple observation lang, no, yung oil talaga hindi nagmi-mix sa water. Kasi nga, they are said to be insoluble. Polar kasi si water, non-polar si oil. So in our chemistry subject, we are always saying na like dissolves like, diba? Kung ano yung polarity ng substance, if it is polar, sa polar siya ng substance madi-dissolve, and same with non-polar solute, non-polar solvent din. So lipids are the main constituents of plant and animal cells. So sabi dito, lipids is actually organic compound that are, paulit-ulit tayo, no, insoluble siya sa water kasi kahit i-research niya siya, yun yung primary definition ng lipids. They are said to be macromolecules made of fatty acid monomers. Okay, nabanggit na naman si monomers. And the functions of this include structural support for the cell. It is also an energy storage and giving us the cell signal. So ulitin natin, non-polar, do not interact with water. So yun yung characteristic or property ni lipids. Mr. Ann? Okay. So, dito sa structure na to, makikita niyo that when we talk about lipids, it's actually a glycerol with 3 fatty acids. So, mamaya babanggitin natin siya ulit kasi under pa rin ng lipids yung i-discuss natin after that. Okay, the word lipid comes from the Greek word lipos or lipos, which means fat. So siguro kaya yung liposuction, no, Tutor Ann, sa mga nagre-reduce ng weight or ng mga taba-taba sa katawan. Okay, lipids are a family of biomolecules having varied structures. They are grouped together simply because of their hydrophobic property. Yun na nga, parang water-fearing or parang hindi sila compatible sa water talaga. They are said to be soluble in nonpolar solvents such as ether, acetone, and benzene. So ibig sabihin, tulad nga na sinabi natin, water is a universal solvent. Kapag hindi kayang maging soluble sa kanya, we will be using the other type of substance, which is the nonpolar substance. Okay, so lipids can be classified into 4 categories: wax, triglycerides, phospholipids, and steroids. So we will just be focusing with triglycerides and phospholipids kasi dun pa lang mapapakita na natin yung function and properties ng bawat isa. And also limited, no? Admit natin yung katotohanan. Okay, so next is what we call fatty acids. So fatty acids, understanding fatty acids is essential to understanding lipids. Fatty acids are long-chain carboxylic acids that are insoluble in water. So dito sa structure na to, makikita ninyo cuties, no? May saturated fatty acid at meron tayong unsaturated fatty acid. So yung makikita niyo diyang difference is that may double bond sa unsaturated fatty acid. So, yung saturated fatty acid, mas maraming hydrogen components compared dun sa unsaturated one. Okay? Dagdag ko lang din, no, fatty acid is actually the building blocks of fat in our bodies and the food we eat. So, during digestion, sabi nga natin, no, kapag kumakain tayo, yung katawan natin i-absorb yung mga food intake natin. Let's say, for example, yung fatty acid na yan, the body breaks down fats into fatty acids. So kung kumain ka ng matabang pagkain, i-break down niya yan into fatty acids. Tapos, i-absorb siya ng ating katawan through blood natin. Okay? Fatty acid molecules are usually joined together in groups of forming molecule called triglyceride. So yun na natin, i-connect na natin siya, yung triglyceride, doon sa fatty acid. Mr. Ann? Okay, so yan yung sinabi natin kanina, no? Saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. Okay, so eto yung binanggit ko kanina na triglyceride, no? Kapag sinabi natin triglyceride, fat and oil are the most common examples of lipids. They are under triglycerides because they are composed of glycerol and 3 fatty acids. So binanggit natin siya kanina, no? Para malaman natin na, or para ma-figure out natin yung structure ng triglyceride, meron siyang 3 fatty acid in a glycerol. So sabi rito, the function of the triglyceride is actually the energy storage. Ito yung sinabi mo, Tutor Ann, kanina, no? If the carbohydrates is not available, pwede natin gamitin yung, let's say for example, yung glucose, tulad nga under siya ng carbohydrates. Kung wala siya, pwede tayong gumamit ng fatty acids to fuel the cells. So, kaya nga, may mga process, mamaya ko nalang banggitin, Tutor Ann, yung pinapampalit natin sa carbohydrates kung ayaw natin medyo tayo ng weight, mag-gain tayo ng weight. Kaya merong mga mechanism na nauuso sa ating process. Okay? So next. Okay. So, dagdag ko lang, no, triglyceride, Tutor Ann, tulad na sinabi natin, it's still found in the blood. Sa dugo pa rin siya makikita. And then when you eat your food, it actually converts into calories. Pero tulad nga na sinasabi natin, lahat ng sobra masama, no? Kapag nasobrahan tayo ng intake natin ng mga fatty acids na yan, ng triglyceride na yan, pwede siyang bumara sa ating arteries. Ano ba yung arteries? It's actually the blood vessels, no? That can cause stroke or yung mga heart diseases na yan. Kaya minsan sinasabi natin na nagbabara sa ating mga blood vessels, yung mga fats na kinakain natin kasi too much. Hindi na kaya ng ating katawan i-absorb or gamitin. So excess calories, alcohol, sugar in the body turn into triglycerides and stored in fat cells throughout the body. Okay? So, phospholipids next. Mabilis ba ako, Tutor Ann?
Hindi, tama lang.
Okay lang. Phospholipids and triglyceride, parehas silang lipids, no? So tulad na sinabi natin, under sila ng lipids, yun nga lang, pag sinabi nating triglyceride, meron siyang glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Kapag phospholipids naman, meron siyang glycerol, 2 fatty acid, tapos meron na siyang phosphorus content. Okay, so dito sa structure, pinapakita rin na merong tayong hydrophilic head and hydrophobic tails. Ito yung isa, yung sa taas, okay siya sa water, pwede siya sa water. Sa tail niya naman, medyo lumalayo siya sa water environment na yan. So kasi nga parang ano siya, water fearing naman siya. Yung isa water loving, isa water fearing. Okay, so yun yung sinabi ko kanina. So the tail fatty acid group, tapos yung phospholipid bilayer allows phospholipids to form that layer. Okay, next. Meron kaming question sa inyo, Chutis. How does the police forensic, so personal determine the identity of the one involved in a crime? Diba nanonood kayo ng mga, minsan ng mga movies, sa palagay ninyo, ano yung pinaka-effective na way para malaman kung yung isa ba ay involved sa crime? Or kahit na halimbawa, no, yung may mga tawag dito, yung mga nagkakapalit ng anak, di ba? So they are using a particular way para malaman kung sino ba or kanino ba siya. Okay, according to Tutor, pakibasa nga, medyo naglalag yung ano ko sa comments ko
Okay,
rito.
sabi ni Edward Bagay sa DNA po, and also si Constantine DNA sample. So very familiar naman sila on how to do on what we should get para makuha yung identity. Sabi ni Aaron Linogan, DNA test. Sabi ni ganun din sabi ni Dejan Cubelo.
Okay. Sa
Okay.
Tutor Ann, I forgot to mention pala kanina, no, with regards to fatty acids or yung triglyceride under that, pwede nating ipalit yon kung halimbawa gusto mo talaga yung keto diet, no? So ang tawag nga doon ay ketogenic, kung saan kapag ni-replace natin yung metabolic state ng process na yun is what we call ketosis. Kaya meron tayong mga tinatawag na keto diet kung saan yung particular person is actually hindi siya nagtitake ng carbs or ng carbohydrates, nire-replace niya ng fats. Pero tulad nga na sinabi natin, no, hindi pwedeng basta-basta na lang natin gagayahin yun kasi iba-iba tayo ng reaction ng katawan natin. No?
Sa own understanding ko about keto, syempre marami na nagki-keto diet ngayon. Parang they are removing muna the other yung parang nililinis muna nila yung sa body nila. I mean yung kung anong last na kinain nila, dapat nag-water therapy muna sila. And then after that, mag-fasting sila, puro water lang, and then puro fats ang kanilang i-intake. So, ganun yung keto diet. Kasi nga, this is also a source of energy. Aside from carbohydrate, so actually, hindi naman, walang presence ng carbohydrate kasi napakaraming source ng carbohydrate. Pero pinipili lang hindi kumain ng carbohydrate kasi ang gusto nilang magamit ay yung sa keto diet nga nila, yung susundin nila is yung fats ang gagamitin nilang source of energy.
Okay. So pero reminders pa rin, no, hindi basta-basta tayo, no, kailangan nagko-consult pa rin tayo kasi baka hindi kaya ng katawan natin yung plano natin na pagpapapayat or pagpapataba. Okay, so sabi ng students natin DNA test po, DNA testing. Okay, so let's proceed now to another type of biomolecule which is what we call nucleic acid. Tutor Ann?
Ayan.
Okay. So, i-acknowledge lang natin, no, si Sir Friedrich Mischer kasi siya yung naka-discover na yung napansin niya, no, na may ibang substance, yung white blood cells niya did not resemble carbohydrates, proteins, or lipids. Kasi meron siyang nakitang isa pang element under that observation. So, play as an essential role in the storage, transfer, and expression of genetic information. So, tulad nga ng sinabi natin, no, dito papasok yung DNA kasi when we talk about DNA, it carries all the information about how a living thing will look and function. So, he was able to isolate the substance from the nucleus and initially called it nuclein. So, yun. So, may nakita siya, tulad ng nakasulat dito, he found out that nucleic acids contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So, nadagdagan ng element. Okay, so the most common examples of nucleic acids are DNA, so deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA ribonucleic acid. So the structure itself will give you the difference between RNA and DNA. Yung DNA, yung double helix, tapos yung single strand naman is what we call RNA. So it's actually found in structure of the cell called chromosomes. So makikita siya sa ating chromosomes. Then, next figure tayo, Tutor Ann. Okay. So sabi rito, ang nucleic acids composed of nucleotides which are monomers made of compounds. Ano-ano ba yung laman niya? Meron siyang tinatawag na carbon sugar, phosphate group, and nitrogenous base. So ayan, nakasulat na nitrogenous base, then carbohydrate or sugar, and phosphate group. Ayan yung mga structure ng sugar, ng phosphate at ng nitrogenous base. Okay. So tulad ng tinuro sa atin ni Tutor Ed last week na pinag-usapan natin yung monomer ng nucleotides. So kapag yan ay nag-undergo ng polymerization, magiging polynucleotides siya. So from the monomer itself, so nag-process siya, nag-undergo siya ng polymerization. So ang tawag na ngayon sa kanya ay polynucleotides. Okay. So these are the food sources ng nucleic acids. Kung gusto niyo magkaroon ng nucleic acid sa katawan, these are a picture that can help you for you to choose the proper food material na pwede natin kainin. So made up of nucleotides, which are molecules that are essential to almost every biological processes in the human body. They aid with gut repair, they encourage cellular growth, and they strengthen the immune system, which is ito yung kailangan natin ngayon. Ang dami nagkakasakit sa atin ngayon. So kailangan talaga palakasin yung immune system natin through proper eating. Okay. So these are the molecules that we have discussed for today. So we've discussed the carbohydrates. We have the protein, the phospholipid triglyceride, fatty acid, or understand lipid, then what we call the nucleic acid. So kung mapapansin niyo yung mga symbols na yan are the elements composition of those biomolecules. Ayun. Diretso ko na, Tutor Ann, no? Sige,
wait
baka may
lang.
dadagdag ka
So
pa.
dahil yan ay mga food intakes natin, so dapat familiar tayo kung ano ba yung kinakain natin for carbohydrate, protein, lipid, nucleic acid, kasi nga it has something to do with our body system. So dapat familiar tayo, dapat aware tayo sa ating kinakain. So
and don't forget to use it, no? Pag kinain niyo, make sure na i-workout ng konti para mabawasan yung ano. Okay. So,
magamit.
So then we are inviting you also to watch the particular subjects here or topics. So we have safety and first aid, earth and life science, general biology 1, media and info literacy, and of course our subject general chemistry 1. I-search niyo lang sa DepEd Tech Unit, makikita ninyo yung mga ino-offer pa na mga subjects. Okay. So for your feedback and suggestions, still, and dito pa rin yung link, nagpapapansin pa rin sa inyo for you to give us your feedback, suggestions, comments, or appreciation sa ating mga tutorials.
Okay, Tutor Abe. So ayan, so susunod na we have Tutor Kath and Tutor Zai for media information literacy. Kanina naka-comment pa si Tutor Zai, ngayon nakasalang na siya. So and also si Tutor Wendy and Tutor Eric ng General Biology 1. So sila ngayon ay on air na 4:40 to 5:20. So this is our week 7. Next week po will be our probably recognition week for our tutees and also guest tutors who has helped us to deliver this tutorial to our students. So muli,
okay.
Tutor Abe.
Muli, I am Tutor Abe. Sama-sama nating itulay ang pagkatuto.
Sa mga students natin na nasa comment section ngayon, muli, this is Tutor Ann from STO Las Piñas. Sama-sama nating sama-sama tayong magbayanihan para sa mga batang Pilipino. Salamat po sa inyong pag-attend. God bless everyone.
Ang husay naman! Natapos mo ang iyong tutorial session kasama ang iyong mahusay na ETUlay tutor. May bago ka bang natutuhan? I-share na yan gamit ang hashtag ETUlay Level Up. Huwag aalis ha, dahil may susunod pang programa na pwede mo ring panoorin at salihan. Dahil naghihintay na ang iyong mga tutors. Happy learning dito sa ETUlay!